Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Scorpio energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Scorpio, the bottom row a more worldly, shadowy Scorpio. We all have free will. We have our dualistic nature. We have to make decisions in our life. The top row could kind of represent either how some people are living their life because they work through the shadow nature, or what some people might like to do, but they still have to work through the shadow nature. And the bottom row can represent our fears or insecurities, past pain and heartbreak, self-limiting beliefs, or it could just represent our comfort zone and to do life a little differently, have a little more hope and faith and belief in ourselves. We'd have to step out of our comfort zone. And maybe if we were to do life a little differently, make some changes in our life, maybe some of the people that we're currently in relationship with wouldn't like it. And, maybe then they wouldn't want to hang out with us or something, or we'd have to quit a job or something. And so some people could be kind of debating within themselves right now, trying to work through this. And some people could be going back and forth, kind of debating. Other people have made their decision, and other people are like, nope, I did do it, and I am moving forward differently. And other people had at one time debated it, and they decided to keep doing life the way they were doing it. So, and they still are. And until, we'll all stay in our comfort zone until there's something about it that, you know, well, I guess the reason for the top row's reading is the Five of Pentacles, which is the reason why the reading came out. That it kind of doesn't feel as abundant as it once did, just like when we were 18 years old or 21 years old or 25 years old. When we went into those new phases of life, it was like, and we faced our fears, we were all in on going in it. And then it was, could have felt very abundant and fun, But then as time goes by and we live our life that way, it kind of, it's kind of the letting us know that it's kind of time to move on, which is what the Five of Pentacles can talk about. If I keep living my life at a certain phase of life, it kind of wears down my foundation of self in a way, because I'm not continuing to face my fears. I'm not continuing to love and believe in myself and keep moving forward in life, kind of growing to my full potential, right? And so when we start to feel like it is kind of more taking away from us than continuing to move us forward, that's when we might do this debate within ourselves. The other thing about the Five of Pentacles is we have to go through this debate process of detaching from something. So before the Five of Pentacles was the Four of Pentacles. We don't have it on the table, but a typical Four of Pentacles shows a person holding on to these Four Pentacles. And it's like a foundation and a way of living life, and like a phase of life that they went into at one point in time in their life. And it can be scary to detach from it and kind of distance yourself from it to move forward. And you could go through a period, the Five of Pentacles can talk about feeling like you're going through a period of kind of feeling left out in the cold, because you might be detaching from certain habits, vices, ways of thinking, and all those things. You had probably people in your life that were living their life that way, thinking that way, feeling that way, whatever. And if you kind of move forward differently and they're not ready to move forward differently, you're kind of not on the same page anymore. And you could go through this period of feeling left out in the cold. And for some people who are moving forward right now, they could be going through that period of feeling left out in the cold. Some people in their life decided, I'm not ready to move forward like that, or I still like doing life like this. And the other people might want to go do other things. And they're trying to find people who more want to live life at this new way of living life, detached from certain habits or patterns or ways of living life. and the other people aren't coming with, so that can be difficult. What's kind of interesting is the bottom row is the Hierophant. Both the Five of Pentacles and the Hierophant are both Taurus energy, and Taurus energy is a philosophy of life that we have that kind of dictates the decisions that we make in our life, how we think, how we feel, how we view life, how we view others, how we view ourselves, how we view relationships, what we think is just and fair. And now, our philosophy of life has changed. And part of it can be we live our life at any stage of life that we're at, and we have a certain philosophy of life, or we wouldn't live our life that way. But then the truth kind of sets us free where we learn lessons at that phase of life. So this was a phase of life in the Four of Pentacles that we had in a philosophy of life. But then as we live that phase of life, every phase of life, there's certain lessons for us at that stage of life we were meant to learn. And once we learn that lesson, then that kind of no longer is our truth, because that extra pentacle, and in high vibe, the pentacle is like learning these lessons and truth and love and justice and fairness. And, we come in contact with all these different people to help us get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. So we were in something. And the Hierophant can represent all these different institutions of the world, friend groups, family groups, marriages, workplaces, communities, religions, groups of people kind of that we aligned with, political affiliations, all these different things, kind of ways of how we identified ourselves. But there too, a more shadowy Taurus energy too can be that some people were, well, not a more more shadowy would just be ego, image, money, indulgence, more worldly focused. And more high vibe would be that kind of seeing the truth of how making your life so much about the world or ego or image or status or indulgence manipulates you. And then the truth sets you free. And high vibe energy is being more independent of your own shadowy nature, immature nature, codependent nature, lust, greed, pride, ego, to want to be more independent in the world. So your own shadowy nature, the world at large, other people, to live your authentic truth, which is high vibe Hierophant. That there's a higher truth and justice to aspire to. The world isn't God, and making your life, just kind of believing there is a higher truth and justice to aspire to. There's more than just the world. And some people think there is no higher truth or justice. We're just on the planet. The planet says, make your life, or our community or our state or our country says, make your life about this. If you make your life about this, we'll view you as victorious and successful. That's all there is. And some people really think that. Some people could be more stubborn, more prideful, more aligned with their just worldly nature of self or the world, or indulging their immature nature. Other people grow up and mature themselves. And part of that growing up and maturing themselves can see how all these things can manipulate them. And high vibe energy, I want to be free to live my authentic life from love. I want to love myself. I want to be more independent, quit letting so many things manipulate me. I want to go out in the world and treat other people the way I like to be treated. High vibe Taurus, you act with character and integrity. You walk the talk. You are who you say you are. And that's going out in the world and treating other people the way you like to be treated, not trying to manipulate anyone, control anyone, wanting to be in friendship or relationship more for just how it benefits you, for status, ego, image, lust, greed, whatever. I want to be in relationships with people because I like them, they like me. There's equal give and take. It's just and fair. It's balanced. And some other people, it can all be more for these other reasons. I just want to be in a relationship to be in a relationship. I just want to have a job to have a job. I'm not motivated and inspired. I don't think I have to maybe be more just and fair. I don't think I have to be more tempered in my ego. It's a dog eat dog world out there. It's all about, you know, who's the most, get more people to indulge them in the way that they want to live life. And that's kind of also a shadowy Taurus relationship, that it's love and loving relationships are supposed to be just and fair. A more shadowy Taurus relationship can be where, well, I have more of these things of the world that you want. Either I'm more attractive than you and you value attractiveness, or I have more money, more status, more image, more power, more influence, more social clout, that for whatever reason they think they have more of what people could want, then they should be the kind of more privileged person in the relationship. So it's not really just and fair. It's like, I have some of the things that you want, and I guess if you value what I bring to the table enough, you'll kind of more, it's more about me. So it's kind of shadowy. It's a little bit more about them, or they just have a more worldly view of life, that we should be in the relationship, we should stay in it more for these worldly reasons, not love. And maybe you don't have to be just and fair. And other people have been in workplaces, friendships, and relationships with people who are like that, and they didn't agree with them. Their philosophy of life was different. So let's go look at the bottom row. We have the Knight of Swords, the Ten of Wands, the Nine of Swords, the Page of Wands, and the Five of Cups. So in the middle here is the Nine of Swords. The 8, the 9, and the 10 of Swords is Gemini energy of our dualistic nature of free will. And in some people's free will, they are more aligned with being more about, they could defend their more immature nature, because the Ten of Wands in shadow is either being more immature and they think it's just and fair for them to be indulged in their more immature nature, or being really motivated and inspired by whatever these things of the world that they make more important than love. And they're really motivated and inspired by those things, which could be, I want a certain status or image in the world. I want money. I want power, whatever. And that is their truth. The Knight of Swords is also Gemini. That is my truth. That is what I defend. That is what I am motivated and inspired by. Well, we all grow up in the world and we all want some of these things of the world. We'd all like friendship and relationship. We'd all like a job. We'd all like to have stability and security. We all want some of these things in Taurus energy that Taurus represents. Again, all these different institutions and things of the world. There's a part of us that does want that, but high vibe energy is about balance. And there's a maximum of 10 in every suit. So I think initially we can be a loving person, motivated and inspired by love. But for the first 30, 40 years of our life, we're pretty focused in our Five of Pentacles Taurus energy more heavily by the world, because there's all these things of the world that we want to go invest in, indulge in, manifest, that we're focused on. And it could take until, going through many cycles of life and learning lessons and growing and maturing ourselves before we start to be more inspired to want and kind of see through how it's kind of tipped out of balance, making these things of the world is kind of dictating having more influence in our life. And the Nine of Swords can be where we start to kind of get a little stressed out because in our more creative, inspired nature and putting all this work and effort, the Ten of Wands can talk about feeling overwhelmed, that we kind of make those things so important in our life that it's kind of like our more hopeful, believing, creative, inspired nature is wishing we'd kind of love ourselves a little bit more, because the Five of Cups here can be where we're focused more on the Three of Cups, which can be things that more emotionally manipulate us, than aligning with love and our own truth, and getting in friendships and relationships and jobs with things that really align with our truth, because we so much wanted, just to have a job or a friendship or relationship at different times in our life, that we got into those things because we really wanted them, because it is part of what we want in our life. But did we kind of take action towards things that aren't really aligned with our truth? And can we see how, because we wanted some of these things of the world, or because we were attracted to people, or because we were living more from our mind than our heart, or because we had fear of listening to our own intuition and living our more authentic life, we kind of got ourselves in some situations that then we could feel just really aren't aligned with our truth. And sometimes, we could have come into contact with other people when, again, the Ten of Wands and fire sign energy, we could have been attracted to people. We wanted to go be a player in the world. We wanted to go indulge in all these things. And we got in friendships and relationships with other people who said, yeah, me too. And we went with those people. Or I want to be in a relationship. And they're like, me too. Let's get in a relationship. I want to get married. I want to have children. Me too. And those things could have been more what really drove and motivated us at different times in our life. And then we go kind of on that journey, and we could go through many phases of cycles of life with people. Like, we could have went through age 18 to 21 with some people. That can kind of be all the swords and all the wands, that there's a lot of things to work out, and we can grow and heal and mature with people through many cycles of life. I went through 18 to 21 with them. I went through 21 to 25 with them. I went through 25 to 30 with them. I went through different phases with different people along the way that became friends or acquaintances or jobs or romantic relationships, right? But with some of those people, we can go through all those phases, and a lot of phases where we were willing to work together and compromise. But eventually we could get down to this final, we've worked through everything else, like in the Nine of Swords. Well, I like kind of doing this, you like kind of doing that. I kind of think this is right and wrong, you kind of think that's right and wrong. I kind of, just all these things we have to work out of why we would keep staying in friendship and relationship with people. We can have a lot of things in common. We can have a lot of, we like each other, we can be attracted to each other, we have some similar belief systems and ways of living life, and kind of things that we enjoy and things that kind of drive and motivate us. But eventually we can get down to that final truth, which at a core foundational level could be, are we willing to be more independent of the establishment, is kind of what the Hierophant can represent. Are we willing to be more independent in the world? Are we willing to become more independent of other people in our life that we could have been, the pages can represent being codependent on? Are we, just like we go through phases of life where we had our original family, right? Well, that had its place and phase in our life, but we're not supposed to keep making our original family like the primary foundation in our life. They are a part of our foundation in our life. But say if we're going to marry someone and start a family with those people are supposed to be the primary foundation in our life. And some people don't do that. And it could be a friend group. Well, I've had this friend group. They're like the primary foundation in my life. And sometimes people get in relationships or marriages with other people, but the people they get in relationships and marriages with, it's like, and that's kind of also what the Three of Cups can represent. Like, you're a third party to this primary foundation that I am more codependent on. So they're not really more independent to really be more independent and have detached and kind of see the truth of it, that I should be more independent. I should know how to maybe love myself and work through some of my fears and insecurities. Can we still have our friends and our family group that are loving and encouraging and supportive of us? Yes, but hopefully they're loving and encouraging us to go be more independent and live our authentic life. And then there's some friend groups and family groups that don't like that. I do want you being codependent, whether they're your brother, your sister, or your friend. I want you to be more codependent on me and look to me. And, basically, if I were to tell you, if I'm that person in your life, and if I were to tell you that, well, I don't like those other people that you're moving forward with, it's like, oh, this is my wife or my husband or my children. And they're like, yeah, but I'm supposed to be the primary person in your life. There's some people in the world that are more codependent on those type of people in their life, that they will turn their back on the people that they could have built a life with, being more independent. But that is the thing they're not willing to do. And they might not see the truth of how they are more codependent on a friend group, their original family. But other people, they're just still more inspired and still look to the world to validate their worth and value. And high vibe energy is, I validate my worth and value. The world isn't going to dictate to me and other people in my life, well, you're not wearing this and you're not acting like that. And so you're not in the cool kid club, and they're still really manipulated by that. And it could just be, again, they don't want to become independent of their more defensive nature, is what the Knight of Swords can talk about. Their more immature nature, living more from their mind and their heart. I would have to work through letting go of not indulging that aspect within myself, and then the people in my life who kind of maybe encourage me to live my life that way because that's how they live their life and they want me to live my life that way. I'd have to work through and kind of see, in a way, how those people really don't want me to be more independent. And that can be hard, and that's Scorpio energy of the Five of Cups. We're these emotionally complex human beings. We're dealing with other people that are emotionally complex. We can love them, they can love us. But up here in the top row, we have the devil, and the whole thing is that if we have people in our life, us living our life and us dealing with other people, we all kind of like to think of ourselves as more high vibrational, right? We might have some shadowy ways of being, but we like to view ourselves as more high vibe. And the devil is kind of like, looks in a typical Rider-Waite deck, it looks just like the Lover's card. But the Lover's card has an angel in it instead of a devil. And the people in the devil card have chains and shackles on them. So it's kind of, there can be love there, but it's kind of restricting and limiting and confining and kind of imprisoning and kind of shadowy, kind of manipulative, kind of prideful, kind of, I'm going to use the love that you have for me to try to manipulate you, or because I know you love me, I'm going to try to use that because I might not like you going and living your authentic life and maybe living your life differently than I live my life and being more independent of me and going and living the life of your dreams when I live my life like this. Maybe I'd be jealous. Maybe I'd be envious because I didn't do that. So then other people who didn't free themselves from things that manipulated them. Oops, I got an alarm on my phone. Other people who didn't free themselves from things that manipulated them kind of don't want other people to free themselves from those things. because they didn't. And it would kind of illuminate, because high vibe energy, being enlightened to the truth, would kind of illuminate that other people did free themselves from things they didn't free themselves from. And instead of dealing with their own issues within themselves, well, why do I live my life like this? And why do I do this? And why do I let these things manipulate me? Instead, they just try to manipulate other people to make them keep living their life that way too. Kind of like misery loves company. And if I didn't do it, you shouldn't do it. And if I say this is right, you should listen to me. And if the world says this is the way we should live our life, this is how we should live our life. Even though there could be a part of us that's sad and could feel like we're conforming more to the world and not listening to that higher truth and a higher justice, that we're not living our more authentic life, and that we could be sad. And also kind of a more shadowy Scorpio energy that anyone can harness is that, again, I keep letting these things manipulate me, things within myself and then other people in my life who, and I could feel it's more superficial and shallow. You know, it's kind of like the devil trying to seem like God, but God, high vibe energy represented by God, does want us to keep giving birth to new things, facing our fears. And the devil has fear of change and wants things to be this way, doesn't want to give birth to new things. And so some of you could have at different times you've been in this energy and had other people move on ahead of you because you still had some lessons to learn, and you had some fears and insecurities that held you back, and you had ways of living life and viewing life, and we'll all kind of repeat certain patterns until we learn the lesson we were meant to learn. And then when you kind of do, and you could decide at some point in time, I keep doing this, and I could be someone who encourages other people to help work through their fears and insecurities. And the fives can talk about change to work through kind of what manipulates them so that we can move forward in a more just or fair or balanced way. And I keep maybe being disappointed. Well, that can be maybe when we need to be enlightened to the truth that, why am I trying to change other people? Well, it can be because we're attracted to them, we like them, we love them, but it can be, our own adult child, brother, sister, mom, dad, anybody. It's one thing to offer people love and encouragement and stay over here, kind of. And I can see people who could be more defensive, more immature, more overwhelmed, more stressed out, more about caught up in these things of the world that they make really important in their life. I can be loving and encouraging to a lot of people, and I could be kind of sad that I could see that they, you know, loving people want other people to work through those things, to quit letting those things keep manipulating them. And we can be sad that we see that all those things manipulate them. But we can't make other people see the truth. We could tell people, I think you're defensive. I think, you kind of defend people who, or ways of being in your life, blah blah blah, and they're like, no I'm not, no I'm not. Just like we did when we were younger, we were kind of more focused on some of these things, and we had people in our life that were older and more mature than us that were like, oh my gosh, why are they doing that? This isn't going to work out well, and I have so many hopes and dreams for them, or I'm their friend and I love them, but I see them doing this. We've got to go on our own journey. We're all on our own journey to have to learn to, are we going to stand up for our more hopeful, believing nature? Are we going to get inspired within ourselves to put in this kind of work and effort to work through all these thoughts we have in our head, which is kind of also what the Hierophant is about. I have all these thoughts in my head that I got to do this, I can't do that, I got to live my life like this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. When are we going to get inspired to really look through all those things, to get clear about more what our truth is and what kind of person I want to be and what really motivates and inspires me. Do I want to be someone who keeps doing things where maybe I am being immature and hurting others? Do I want to keep indulging in things or getting in relationships with people, being more codependent, and I end up being emotionally manipulated because I haven't learned to love myself? Am I going to keep indulging in things to make me feel better, and all I do is get stressed out and feel sad, and it just contributes to the problem? When am I willing to, I want, and I'm motivated and inspired to get to the damn truth? Out of love for myself, I do not want to keep being disappointed. And the only person I can change is me. I could wish other people would change and I could make it all about them. And there's still people in the world, needless at any stage of life, that are like, no, no, no. I'm just going to keep waiting for those people to change. Like, I can't move forward if they don't move forward. Or they're the person, and, I can't have my dream come into reality without them. Well, that's not the truth. Our dream can only come into reality with people who are more on the same page as us and moving forward and motivated by the same truth as us. And if their philosophy of life is different and their truth is different and what they think is just and fair and right and wrong and how to conduct themselves in relationships makes us sad, well, then we need to see the truth of it. Sometimes we have people in our life that, yeah, could there be love there? But we either are willing to work together with people in truth and love, treat them the way we like to be treated, but a more immature way of going about things is, I'm going to do all these things that are kind of hurtful or unkind or unjust or unfair because I don't want to have to change. And I don't like that you've changed, and I don't like that you've healed or grown or matured yourself in some way. And I think because you love me, I think I can manipulate you. Well, do we want to be in relationships with people who that's their way of operating in the world? I know you love me. You know I could care for you. I know you want this to work out. I know you want it to move forward, but you want me to see the truth of something I don't want to see the truth of. So therefore, I'm going to go about it in this more shadowy way. I'm going to be defensive to you. I'm going to maybe move away from you. I'm going to go indulge myself in whatever ways of being or other people. And I'm going to turn my back on you and you're going to be sad. And I don't think you'll love and believe in yourself either. You have things you want them to become independent of that they love, kind of, or emotionally attached to in kind of a shadowy way. They also think you're emotionally attached to them in a shadowy way. And in a way, it's kind of like the devil couldn't stop you from healing or growing and maturing yourself and stop you from giving birth to something new, wanted to stop you from giving birth to something new. I'm going to go work on these people. And I think because they have these things, or some of the people in their life decided that, and they agreed with them, there's something within them that makes them align with those people. I'm going to stop these people from moving forward with you. Ha! There you are, sad, left out in the cold. See, you should do it this way. It's like what the devil's saying. Do you want these things? Then you better do it this way. Quit. High vibe Hierophant is kind of more aligned with the divine of the higher truth, the higher justice, seeing the truth, detaching from this. And that's high vibe energy. I see the truth Am I sad? Am I going to go through a period of being left out in the cold? Yes. But they're asking me to keep compromising my truth. And I've already seen that I don't like this. I feel left out in the cold, and I feel sad, and I feel emotionally manipulated, and I feel like I can't live my more authentic truth from love. And like, if I don't let them manipulate me or control me or make my life about things that, aren't the end all be all in my life and not as important to me in my life as they are in their life. I want a more just, fair balance, and they might be more heavily tipped in favor of making their life about these certain things, and they want me to do that too, but I kind of find it superficial and shallow, and I don't find it like people are working with me cooperatively from love, but they want me to keep moving forward in the illusion that it's love when it's more staying in it for these worldly reasons. And high vibe energies being a guiding light in the world, being a leader in the world. And as some of you move forward in your life, some of those people in your life know that you love them, but you're distancing yourself from them because you're not going to indulge them in poor behavior. And then it can really make them mad. How did you free yourself? I know you love me. Again, adult, child, brother, sister, mom, dad, romantic interest, friend. I know you wanted this to work out. I know you wanted this to move forward. But I have these things that manipulate me, and I wanted you to let those things keep manipulating me. And because I love those things or those people or whatever, and I'm not willing to become independent of them or see the truth of how it manipulates me, how did you do it? And then it can kind of make them angry because some of them kind of think very highly of themselves, is like shadowy Hierophant. I think, and again, because they could think, I have maybe this certain status or image or attractiveness or charm or social cloud or power or influence. And that's why they kind of get manipulated maybe by things or people. How come you're not in turn manipulated to be in relationship with them and the people that they surround themselves with in a way, and make your life about that too? When, of course, they think this is the acting like a pillar of society or the most important thing in the world. It's like, I would rather be on my own and live my authentic life with the people in my life who are more authentic, who are more just, who are more fair. I am willing to take less of these things of the world because that I want those things, but I have enough. 5 of my 10 pentacles that I want in the world can have these things of the world. The other 5, in my philosophy of life, I want to be more aligned with my loving, creative, inspired, intuitive, just fair nature. I want a balance, and the other people could be shadowy energy. It can be that it's tipped out of balance, being more in favor of being about them, being about these things of the world, and less equally balanced with truth and love and justice and fairness. And they thought they were willing to sacrifice those things. Who are the people who most are okay with things kind of being a little unjust and unfair? The people who think they're going to benefit or have benefited from it being a little unjust and unfair. The people who probably are the people kind of being more indulged or being more bossy or controlling or full of themselves or immature or manipulative. It's like, you can do that. You can do it with someone else. I'm leaving. And I'm going to go find people who, though I'm sad, I wish you wouldn't choose to act like that. I wish you were less overwhelmed, less stressed out, less immature, less defensive, would quit living more from your mind than your heart. I wish you'd get inspired to work through those things so you could move forward with me, but you kind of keep indulging that aspect of yourself. And it kind of keeps emotionally manipulating you, and I don't think it's going to work out the way you want because you're looking to things that aren't truth and love and justice and fairness to be the answer. And those things, the devil lies. That's not the answer. But you don't want to see the truth of it. So they keep being in things that don't work out the way they want necessarily, that maybe make them, they think, oh no, I'm going to go do this. I'm sure this is the truth. I'm going to indulge my more immature nature. I'm sure I'll be happy. I'm going to keep saying in my codependent nature, I'm going to keep indulging those people. That's shadowy energy. Either they're being indulged and want people to indulge them, or they're think anyway, that they're willing to indulge other people, because the most important thing is that whatever it is that they look to be the answer is going to make them happy. It keeps not making them happy, but they keep not wanting to see the truth, and they'll keep repeating it until they can't do it anymore, and they start to see maybe those things aren't the answer, or those people, or that way of living life, or that way of thinking. And they start to do this work within themselves to work through it, right? But they may never do that. The people in your life who you know are more immature, more prideful, more egotistical, more stubborn, more ego-based, more image status, materialistic, or self-indulgent in things, more superficial, more shallow, like to live more from their mind than their heart, self-righteous, the less likely those people are ever going to change. It's the people who are a little more, you have to get out of your pride and ego to admit I didn't know everything. That, and some people think they know everything. They're like God. It's like the devil, right? I am this pillar of society, or I act a certain way, or I have this certain status or image, and I think that this is the way it should be done, and I don't think there's any higher truth or justice I have to adhere to. I think there'll always be people who are willing to indulge me, and, we know some people that we've read in the newspaper who kind of thought that way, and they got quite shadowy. Very self-indulgent, and thought because they had a certain status or image in the world, and people did indulge them for a long time, and could have had fear of standing up to them. But eventually the truth comes out. Oh, and then they're sad. Then they're sad that people don't view them the way they used to view them. Let's go look at the top row. We have the Eight of Swords in reverse, the Ace of Cups, the Two of Pentacles, and the Devil. What do we do when we feel defensive and overwhelmed and stressed out? Well, some people in high vibe, they see, I could either go take more immature action because I feel stressed out, overwhelmed. Maybe the Ten of Wands, fire sign, can mean sexual energy. I would really like to have some intimacy, right? What do we do when we feel that way? The high vibe people know they could go repeat a past pattern, and it probably will not work out the way they want, because they're kind of planting bad seeds. So they decide, I'm going to get inspired to work through dealing with my regrets of the past, to not take action more for these reasons. I'm going to detach from indulging my more shadowy nature, and instead I'm going to be inspired to, maybe in the Eight of Swords, from the Eight of Swords to the Nine of Swords is the difference of that one sword. I could keep doing this and take action like that, Or I can see the truth about how this doesn't really work out the way I want and quit being up in my head about it and reject aligning with that aspect of my dualistic nature and instead get inspired to, I want to do things differently. And I'm going to offer love to myself. That's offering myself truth and love to why I'm so overwhelmed, why I'm so stressed out. Work through those things. See the truth. Did, my actions and behaviors in the past, other people I've been in relationship with, their actions and behaviors, I'm going to offer truth and love to all of it, that everybody is where they were at. Everybody I've ever dealt with in my life had their dualistic nature, had their issues, had their immaturity level, being up in their head level, being more just or fair or loving. Everybody had the free will to work through those things, to be a more just and fair, balanced, loving person, just like I did. And hopefully at times in my life, I was doing my best to do that and grow and heal and mature myself, but I was where I was at in my emotional maturity level. And, I offer love and compassion to myself for being a fallible human being who had these lessons to learn and had growing up and maturing to do. And so then if I want to offer that to myself, I need to offer it to other people, that I accept that they're where they're at. And some of those people are still acting in more immature, bossy or controlling or whatever type of ways. That was their battle and their free will. It could have overwhelmed me. It could have stressed me out. It could have hurt me. It could have made me sad. Could have made me feel like I wasn't valuable. Acted like made me feel unloved. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, I think it's good to go through the whole purging process. you know, Bitch and moan to your heart's delight, cry, be angry. If this had been different, I would have been different, then I wouldn't have done this. There's a part of us that kind of wants to blame everyone else for all of our problems, but there comes a time where we have to take responsibility for ourselves, quit blaming other people, but it is kind of like a mourning and a grieving process. And then we could kind of realize when we go through that complaining about everybody else, and it could have been, some people's is more atrocious and hurtful than other people's. But when we don't decide that I can't change other people, but I can change me, and I can quit kind of being more focused, is what the Three of Cups talks about, things of the past. Accept the truth of it, offer love to it, so I can let it go. That frees me from negative energy and negative people in my life. I accept that they're where they're at, and I believe that there are natural consequences to people based on the type of people that they are, the kind of people that are going to stay in their life. Could some people put a lot of work and effort, be atrocious people? Yeah, we've read about that in the newspaper too. If you put a lot of work and effort to have a lot of status and image in the world, that's probably what you're going to have in the world. And can they still be atrocious people and abusive people and immature people? Yeah. And the people who kind of see the truth of it and come in contact with those people who learn to love and believe in themselves enough, to whatever degree of shadowiness some people are, that's not my truth. And I'm not going to stay somewhere out of these want for these things of the world, or because I love them, or the status, or the image, or the money. It's too high a price to pay. And I'm not going to be up in my head about it anymore. I've seen the truth, and I've worked through all these issues to get clear about my truth. And I have my creative, inspired, loving nature. And I'm going to be like a good mother, father, coach voice to myself and offer myself the things that I wish other people would have given me. In the Two of Pentacles, to pick up my investment in this old way of living life, or repeating certain patterns or having certain vices or ways of being that I used to indulge in or look to be the answer. In the Two of Pentacles, it can be I'm going to pick up my investment in that and get more balance within myself. And also, the Two of Pentacles and the Devil are Capricorn energy. Capricorn, like Taurus, is earth sign energy. It can be about these things that we want in the world that we view as victorious and successful. And again, for the first 30 to 50 years, we're kind of pretty more tipped in favor of really those things being a driving factor. And eventually we want to get more balanced within ourselves because we kind of see the truth. From the Two of Pentacles to the Five of Pentacles is the Three of Pentacles, which is Capricorn energy. When I keep going back and forth about the truth, kind of juggling the truth, it kind of keeps me in more a worldly focus. And I need to detach and let that Three of Pentacles go and start working more with and aligning with, working from a foundation of what I view as victorious and successful in my own Capricorn and Taurus and Scorpio nature. And let's see, the opposite sign of Scorpio is Taurus. So I have my creative, inspired, emotional nature and my Scorpio nature. I was kind of more, and we go on these journeys in life to learn these lessons. And Scorpio and Taurus being on opposite sides of the zodiac wheel, I was tipped more in favor of not maybe appreciating deep, meaningful relationships or my emotional nature or my loving myself because I was more looking to the world, didn't think maybe I had to do it. And then kind of realized I need to get, is what the Two of Pentacles, more balance between my Taurus and my Scorpio nature. And then when we get more balance within ourselves and we work through some of our own fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs and kind of see how this viewpoint of what we view as victorious and successful has been keeping us kind of indulging poor behavior in ourselves and in others and kind of going back and forth. And the going back and forth, the first stage is like not to try to be definitely tipped out of balance. Then it can be trying to maintain balance. And then it's kind of more tipping in favor of being more aligned with letting our more loving, hopeful, believing nature get in the driver's seat of our life and having our more immature, shadowy nature in the back seat. And seeing the truth as we aren't kind of indulging poor behavior in ourselves and others. We're moving forward, offering truth and love to people. High vibe Capricorn is freeing yourself from the devil, things that were shadowy. And as we move forward, facing the devil, then facing our fears, who is willing to come with and who's not. And we see who kind of keeps repeating some old patterns. Well, apparently that's not their truth. And they're not ready to become independent of some things. And it's challenging for us because we would like them to work together with us and move forward with us in a more just, fair, and balanced way. But they're not doing that. So we accept the truth that, well, you're going to go do you, and I'm going to go do me. Let's go look at see what this card is here. This card here, when the cards aren't showing themselves in the top row, I view that as that you had to work through how you kind of harness that in a more worldly, shadowy way, because that's what could have gotten you into some of these friendships and relationships. And if you don't work on that within you, that's where, we can always think, oh, those people need to change. It's like, well, you also got yourself in it and you stayed in it. And there's always going to be people like that out in the world. You have to figure out what it is within you that kind of drew and attracted you to kind of being in relationship with those people, or you could just go get in a relationship with someone like that again. And you don't want to do that. So you had to figure out how you harness this energy in a more shadowy way. And it's the Eight of Pentacles. The Eight of Pentacles is Virgo. We now have all three of the earth signs out on the table. You could harness a more high vibe Virgo energy, Capricorn, Taurus, a little more motivated and inspired to be in deep, meaningful relationships, but you could get yourself in relationships with people who harness those energies in a more worldly, shadowy way. They're a more shadowy Virgo energy that people can harness within themselves, is they are more driven and motivated by the world. And it's not really love and being in more deep, meaningful relationships that drive them. Wanting to be in relationships, can enjoy relationships, want to be in them, but it can be more about the status and the ego and the image, because that's just still what more drives and motivates them. And it's maybe in their emotional maturity level, that isn't what they've put work and effort into growing and maturing. So they are just kind of more emotionally immature. But then we can meet those people, get to know those people. We can be attracted to those people, but as we get to know them, even at those beginning stages, we could see that they're kind of defensive, might want to be in a relationship with us, attracted to us, but we kind of sense that they definitely like to live more from their mind than their heart. And maybe don't seem to be someone who's really that emotionally connected within themselves. Well, how are we going to have a deep, meaningful relationship with someone who likes to live more from their mind than their heart and maybe makes a free will decision? I kind of, juggle. I kind of don't really want to connect in with my emotions. I kind of use them and my sexuality and my words and my charm and my money and my status and my power, whatever it is. I use them all kind of more superficially to kind of use them as I need them, but I'm not really a very deep person. I lack some self awareness and self insight. It isn't something I've really invested in. I put more work and effort into these things I want to indulge in or these things I make my life about. And then they hope we're going to juggle the truth because we want or we're attracted or we want these things of the world. And we could hope over time they're going to change. They hope we kind of give up on our philosophy of life and make our life more about the world. And we both could be angry when it doesn't work out. But you have your truth in your Gemini nature. They have their truth in their Gemini and Scorpio nature, and they're different. And so everybody kind of thought everybody else, that, and we just can assume that other people think the way we think. If you're more motivated by love, you think that everybody's motivated by love, aren't they? If they get in relationships with people who are loving and encouraging and supportive, they'd be a loving person and they'd want to be in a relationship with those people, right? But the devil can kind of represent that you have a way of living life that is in contrast and kind of threatens their philosophy of life. So some people view people who are more just and fair and loving, you're like the devil. You tempt them to maybe not align with their more worldly philosophy of life. That's like a threat to their philosophy of life. You could be very tempting, it could be very challenging, but for some people, when they get to that stage in a relationship where they're almost thinking of picking up their investment in this old way of living life, whatever it is which is probably fear of being hurt, that they haven't worked through in the Five of Cups. Just not trusting people. I am not willing to let my more hopeful, believing, loving nature out in the world to play. And that's when their defensive nature kicks up again, which you view as kind of shadowy. And they become defensive and they're overwhelmed and they're stressed out because this fear of people trying to manipulate them or control them, or you could hurt me and maybe I don't feel like I could pick myself back up again. And I don't want to do it that way. And so I'm going to try to do all these other things to hope that you'll give up your truth and you'll indulge me in a relationship where I am not willing to do that. And that because you love me, you indulge me in it. But the thing is, if some people have already shown you their truth, that they get really overwhelmed, they really get up in their head, they have all these fears, they have all, again, it's kind of like they're not maybe able to maintain more balance within themselves. And so then, you know, instead of doing this work to work through these things that manipulate them, they instead choose these more immature ways of going about it to deal with it. And that's kind of can be shocking, where, that's not how you maybe viewed them. And that's hard to reconcile emotionally, because you could have viewed someone as someone who was more balanced, more stable, had learned more of these lessons in life, and then they do something that is really immature or controlling, or it just shows you that they have these issues that manipulate them, but they don't ever take action to work through them. Or with other people, they're really afraid of maybe believing in themselves and that they can manifest their dreams into reality, and they really want these things of the world. And so sometimes, instead of staying in relationships or jobs where people are loving and encouraging and they could manifest that dream into reality, they really want those things that they want. And so then they kind of don't act with character and integrity. And again, they could think that because these things are so much more important, I'm maybe going to go find someone who I think already has those things of the world that I want, because I have fear that I won't have those things if I go about it this way. But whatever it is, you kind of saw the truth that someone was acting either more tempted by the world, more codependent, more immature, juggles the truth, acts like they're a person who acts with character and integrity, or motivated and inspired by love, but seeing that's not the truth of it. Whatever it is, just realizing that in your Virgo nature, some people are motivated and inspired to put in work and effort to work through things that manipulate them, because they don't like those things manipulating them and they want to get to the truth of it. But that does take doing this inner work within yourself and being willing to see the truth. And shadowy energy can be where people do not want to see the truth. They don't want to see the truth about themselves. They don't want to see the truth about other people in their life. They don't want to see how these things manipulate them. And they're going to go learn some lessons the hard way, just like the rest of us did. And they could have harnessed, again, their Virgo energy differently. It was more about being in a relationship, indulging themselves in a relationship for the status, the ego, the image, the stability, the security. And just if people are out of balance, just being in a relationship provides them stability and security. But we can be in friendships and work with our friends and family. We don't have to get in a romantic relationship to work together with people to feel more balanced within ourselves. But some people kind of indulge our more immature nature. It's like, yeah, but I also want these other things. It's like, well, do you love that person? I just want to feel better and indulge myself. So again, it's kind of shadowy energy, is kind of manipulating people for your own self-interest and how it benefits you. And that's what some people are doing right now. And so long as other people in their life don't realize it yet, they'll keep indulging in it. And then when they do realize it, I guess they'll have to decide if they're willing to keep doing it or not. And then as you move forward, you decided out of love for yourself, you weren't going to work with some of those people anymore. From the 8 to the 2 in the 6 of Pentacles, which is Taurus energy, you weren't going to keep doing like equal give and take with those people. And you're going to pick up your investment in those people and face your fears. And then you had to work through this energy, which is the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords can talk about, needless, we felt betrayed. If there's people, job, friendship, or otherwise, that we were putting work and effort into, that we were trying to work things out, maintain balance in it, move it forward, being loving and encouraging and supportive, trying to help other people get focused on the big picture, look at life from a higher perspective, put things in perspective instead of getting so caught up in their head. We can only offer people resources and love and encouragement. They have to be inspired within themselves to want to do some of that inner work. And some of the people are like, nope, I'm going to go do this instead. It's like, okay, well, I don't want to keep feeling betrayed. That's not good soil to grow my life in. And so you did do this work, and that's what other people don't know about you with these cards not showing themselves. Other people could see you moving forward. Some people are under the illusion that you still feel left out in the cold. Initially, you could have felt left out in the cold, but you offered love to the situation to not be deceived and manipulated. If people are just and fair, they act just and fair. If people want to be loving and encouraging to you, they would be loving and encouraging to you. If people want to invest time, energy, and effort into you, they would invest time, energy, and effort into you. If some people's truth was their truth in relationship with you, they would be working to work things out with you. And you see who is and who isn't. So you see the truth. No longer the difference between the 8 and the 1 of Swords is the 7 of Swords, which also is Aquarius energy. Apparently our truth is different and our dreams are different. How we view the world is different. How we want to move forward is different. And I accept the truth of it. So that's what you put in this work and effort, to look at life from the bigger picture, put things in perspective, not stay overwhelmed, not stay up in your head about it. I accept the truth. My truth is different than their truth. And you let go of thinking your dream could come into reality with those people, because it can't. If you're someone who wants to be in more just, fair, balanced, loving relationships, more deep, meaningful relationships, where people are able to be more independent, you need to be in relationships with other people who are in that energy. And they've shown you they're not. And other people in your life have shown you they are. And you're going to keep moving forward with the people in your life who show you that they are willing to keep working together with you, treating you in a just and fair way, loving and encouraging way. They don't have to live their life the way you do. They don't have to have the same dreams as you do. But you're loving and encouraging to each other, and you treat each other in a just and fair way. Those are the people we can keep working with. And the people who don't want to work together with us in that way, maybe don't want to be more just and fair, want to keep juggling the truth, want to keep being immature, being defensive, maybe more about themselves, be indulged, just like, regardless of our age differences, if it's work, if it's community, if it's family, how do we work to try to move things forward with people who want to be in that kind of energy? Some of those people we still have in our life, but am I going to invest more time, energy, and effort into them? No. Am I going to keep feeling hurt or rejected or betrayed? No. That is who they are, and that's how they choose to conduct themselves and how to treat people. And if I know I am acting in truth and love and being just and fair, then I'm not going to take it personally that they choose to act like that. Everybody has free will in their Gemini nature of how to act and treat people. Can I be sad they choose to act that way? That it can be hurtful and unkind? Yeah, and I'm going to distance myself from them. And I'm not going to keep exchanging much time, energy, and effort with them unless absolutely necessary. I have a dream, and apparently, how I was hoping things would move forward is different than how they want things to move forward. So I'm going to let them move forward and invest their time, energy in other people, and I'm going to invest time, energy, and effort into people who are more aligned with my truth. And if they're more inspired by the world and living more from their mind than their heart, then they should get in relationships with people who like to do that. If they're more defensive to taking more creative, inspired action in their life, like to make their life about conforming to the world, then they should get in relationships with people who are on that same page as them. I found out that wasn't my truth. I didn't really enjoy it. So that's all part of the things that helped me get out of my ego about it. That wasn't my truth. And that is their truth. Or they like to be in more codependent relationships. Don't like people being more independent. Well, go get in a relationship with someone else who's more codependent. And they like to be immature and bossy and controlling and more about themselves. Well, then go find someone who's okay with you being that way. I'm not. So, what's coming out for the people who harness some high vibe Scorpio energy? They have worked through being up in their head about some people and the world, believing there's a higher truth and power. Things will balance out. We take responsibility for ourselves to walk the talk, treat other people the way we like to be treated, maintain balance within ourselves. The devil can mean there could be some people in your life, besides some shadowy people that you've come to kind of a place of peace about that so you can move on from them and detach from them. There could be other people in your life that you're attracted to, is what the devil can mean. And, you could be kind of trying to get to know people, but there too, as we detach from some job, friendship, or relationship, the devil can also represent in Capricorn these institutions of the world. You could be moving forward, meeting new people, new job, or new romantic interests. And I think you're, again, you've worked through the issues of the past that I'm not going to be defensive to people because of other people. Everybody is not the same. Everybody's got free will. I am willing to get to know people in the Ace of Cups and the Two of Pentacles to get to know them. The Five of Pentacles can be in the Three of Pentacles that people, whatever it is that you're working together with those people to keep moving forward. And again, it could be just getting to know each other to find out kind of what people's truth is and kind of what drives them, motivates them. But you've moved on from some shadowy people in your life. You did learn the lesson you were meant to learn from a phase of life. You are free to go on to the next level of the video game of life. What's coming up for some high vibe people? We have the Queen of Pentacles, the Seven of Pentacles, the Page of Cups. And the reason is because of the Two of Pentacles and the Four of Swords. Well, previously, you could have been trying to balance things out with some people that were either in a workplace, a job you had, in a family dynamic, someone you had invested in, friendship, relationship, otherwise, someone you wanted to marry, someone you did marry. You were harnessing high vibe, Two of Pentacles, and Four Swords. High vibe, Capricorn and Libra, but you could have been dealing with some people who harnessed a more worldly, shadowy Capricorn and Libra energy. They wanted to keep juggling the truth, and they wanted you to keep investing in them. And for quite a while, you could have. But again, your more loving nature was kind of like, how about we it kind of reminds me of that, which was always confusing to me. It popped up in my head after doing tarot. There's a story in the Bible where Jesus tells someone to let the dead bury their own dead or something. It's kind of like, let the people who are more invested, the Seven of Pentacles is also Taurus energy. If people want to invest in someone else or make their life more about the world, juggle the truth, juggle healing a relationship, let them be in relationships with other people who are like that. And you're going to love yourself enough to wish them peace, pick up your investment in them, see the truth, heal from this situation, emotionally invest in emotionally growing, maturing yourself, whether you're male or female, to invest in your truth, which is love. And that's calling you to move forward in life and detach from these people. And then again, I think as you move forward in your life, you're no longer investing your time, energy, and effort on people in your life who aren't working together with you that way. And it opens up the opportunity when you face your fears to move forward. And the devil's mad because you're not staying stuck. The devil couldn't trap you because of love. And because of love, you got balance within yourself, you healed, you emotionally grew and matured yourself, and you're choosing love. And now you could be communicating your truth to other people in the world just like you were before. But now, when you see that people are in some shadowy energy, you can be a loving and encouraging person in their life, but you're not going to get yourself involved in a relationship. You know, those people, you can offer them love and encouragement, but they have to be inspired within themselves to work through it. And until they do, you wish them peace and love, but you're still going to keep moving forward, facing your fears and moving forward with the people in your life who are more on that same page as you. And as you do that, you will meet more people who are more on that same page as you. And other people who are more balanced, who are less manipulated by the world or their ego or their fear or their immature nature, who have emotionally grown up and matured themselves and are more balanced and ready to invest in love. And those are the people you'll move forward with. What's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Scorpio energy? A lot of cards are flipping that is kind of too much of a mess, so we'll see how this goes. What's coming up for them that they don't see coming? Well, they're choosing not to become independent of a way of viewing life or viewing themselves or something. And so that's still their truth. So that's what they're going to keep defending and what they're going to go invest their time, energy, and effort in, because they are sure that is the right way to go about things and will make them happy, probably, or they wouldn't do it. It has to do with this card not showing itself. And the reason it came out is because of justice. Well, things are supposed to be just and fair. And that's what some people don't want to see the truth of. Because shadowy energy can be, I want to stay in denial of the truth. But they're not the boss. And some people think, oh no, because of my status or my image or my looks or my charm or my money or my power, because people like me and people end up have love for me, I think I can just manipulate those people to get them to do what I want. But there's a higher truth and justice at play. Kind of the other day, I looked it up again because I couldn't remember it, but there's a quote in the Bible that if you were to Google Bible powers and principalities, that it's not like really people in a way that we battle, it's these higher forces, because we live in a world of duality where there's free will. So we refer to it as God and the devil. I don't know if people have to be religious or not, but we live in a world of duality where people can either be much more base, animalistic, selfish, really wretched people in the world, and some people are just a little bit more about the world and a little bit more about themselves. The spectrum of shadow is vast and wide. And for people who are more aligned with love, it's vast and wide too. All these different levels of emotional maturity level and tempering of the ego, you know, are there. But what they don't see coming is things balance themselves out because we live in a world of duality where there is balance, just like nature kind of balances itself out. The more high vibrational people in their life are not going to stay in relationship with them. And that's what they don't see coming. Three of Pentacles in reverse. Well, I guess you could, in the upright, the Three of Pentacles can be that people are willing to work together with them to try to bring justice to a situation. And eventually there's some people in their life that realize, they've been doing this work within themselves because they've been sad. They wanted things to move forward, but it's not because these other people keep repeating this old pattern. And the other people kind of within themselves are doing this work within themselves to try to figure out, why do I stay in a relationship with someone who doesn't want to work cooperatively with me from love? Is that just and fair? Am I ever going to get justice here? And if I want to be in relationships with people who treat me the way I treat them, and they're not, if I want the justice I deserve, do I believe I deserve it? And some people realize they don't want to work with these people anymore because they got balance within themselves. The shadowy people never get more balance within themselves. The other people get motivated and inspired to figure out why I kind of keep indulging poor behavior in myself or others. I want it to be more just and fair and balanced, and it starts with me figuring out why I stay and get more balance within myself. Quit being more tipped out of balance. And because the shadowy people never get more balance within themselves, or because they don't want to be just and fair, they like to be the more indulged person in the relationship, whether it's male or female. They have this way of viewing life. This is my truth. I refuse to think that I shouldn't be more indulged in a relationship because of these different reasons. I'm going to go find someone else who thinks the way I think and is willing to indulge me in that way of being. But the more high vibrational people are going to leave. There's always going to be other people who have lessons learned from people like this. And those people will get in a relationship with them. And then it'll be up to those people to decide if they're willing to stay in a relationship with them or not. They have free will, depending on their life circumstances and whatever. But some people might be willing to indulge them more for some other reason. Not really because maybe they even want to. But maybe things didn't work out for them and they want, maybe to feel better. And they have some fears and insecurities. Again, all these reasons why we can get in relationships with people. I want to be in a relationship. I'm kind of stressed out. I'm hurt. I haven't learned to love and believe in myself enough. And that relationship will run its course. But there's some people who think, some people are shadowy Taurus, can be very, well, Scorpio's fixed, Taurus is fixed. And some people really have a certain way of viewing life or a way of viewing relationships, and they could think there's a certain person that would be like the ideal relationship for them to be in. And some of those people, because kind of they want to repeat this pattern of whatever it is, for some of those people though, they're not seeing the truth. But they could keep wanting someone to be in a relationship with them. They could both be quite immature. They could both be kind of more. Well, the shadowy people could like either, I want a loving person to be in a relationship with me, and they could have had loving people in their life, and they keep thinking maybe the loving people will come back and be in a relationship with them. And it's like, no, the loving people could still have love for you, but they've moved on and they don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. But they keep thinking, no, 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 I'm sure they'll maybe come back. But they also could have people that align with their more shadowy nature that they would really like to be in a relationship with, because that would align with this more worldly view of life. But some of those people don't want to be in a relationship with them because some people keep juggling and they can't decide what they want to do. They get in a relationship with loving people, but those people kind of challenge their belief system. So then they think they want to be in a relationship with people who are more about the world. They go get in relationships with people who are more about the world. Well, they could like a lot about that, but then they're both kind of maybe immature and manipulative and full of themselves or whatever. And then they want to be in a relationship with more loving people, and the people that they kind of go back and forth about, some of those people get clear about their truth. And if that's not your truth, then that's not your truth. And, in a world of duality and free will, we can pick this or we can pick that, or we can go back and forth. And there's some people that always juggle. And that's kind of funny in a way too, that up here we have Libra energy and there we have Libra energy. It can all take time for all of us, kind of going back and forth, kind of learning these lessons. What is my truth? What isn't my truth? But other people pick their path, and they're looking for other people who have committed to that path, high vibe or more worldly focused. And then there's some people, they want to keep juggling, and other people have picked their paths. Like, well, then you're going to probably get in a relationship with someone else who's probably juggling you and is happy you juggle because they juggle too. And the people who have learned these lessons about different people, if some people know they're more about the world, when they meet people, even though they could be attracted to them, but they know that person is more motivated and inspired by a just, fair, loving relationship, and they've already been in enough of those to realize that's really not my truth, but damn, it'd be nice to be in a relationship, but why would I get myself in a relationship when I know that I'm more self-indulgent, or I'm more immature, or I like it to be more about me, or I'm more about these things of the world, and I know that's not what drives and motivates you. They will not get in relationship with people who are like that anymore. And the people who have learned that they're more motivated and inspired by love, even though they could meet people that they could be attracted to, but they see that they have their issues that they deal with that are maybe whatever, more worldly or shadowy. Damn, but I know my truth and I'm not going to get more in a relationship with you. So, people get to where I want to be in relationships and I've learned these lessons and I'm going to listen to my truth, because everybody has the free will to live their life the way they want and what they find kind of fulfilling, and they're going to go do that. And the people who kind of juggle are probably going to be in a relationship with people who juggle. High vibe people want to be in a relationship with people who are more balanced, both the Two of Pentacles and the Four of Swords, because the Four of Swords is Libra energy represented by the scales of justice. Want to be in a relationship with people who are more balanced between their worldly nature and their loving nature, and who are willing to be inspired to not keep being more manipulated by their worldly nature, to keep having that more hopeful, believing, loving spirit. The people who are more worldly don't want to work together with people more cooperatively, and don't want to work more cooperatively with their loving nature. They want to keep moving forward in their more worldly view of life. That's what drives and motivates them. That's their truth. And if they can find other people who are maybe more codependent and willing to indulge them, because again, that's a more shadowy Taurus relationship, then that's probably the kind of people they'll be in relationship with. And the other people who can't decide will probably be in relationships with other people who can't decide. You know, and the people who are more about the world could be, and who juggle, could be more jealous and envious of people who seem to be in more just, fair, balanced, loving relationships, because that's not the driving factor in their life. But they're not willing to quit being more about themselves or these things they indulge in or these things of the world. And I think the high vibe people and high vibe energy makes peace with it. Everybody's where they're at. We're going to keep moving forward like this. If at some future point in time you want to communicate, reach out, maybe we can be friends again with some of the people. Some of the people you don't care what they do. You don't want to be in a relationship with them again. But high vibe energy leads by example and is open to people changing. You know, just like when we had growing up and maturing to do, and we learned some lessons in life, we could have realized there were some people we didn't hang out with, didn't get more in friendship or relationship with because of how we viewed life. And then hopefully when we go out there, everybody doesn't hold that against you. Well, when you were this age and you didn't get in a friendship with me, it's like, yeah, I was kind of doing this and I was at this stage. Doesn't mean I didn't view you as someone who was nice, but wasn't where I was at. And, you know, kind of get out of your ego and accept that people have lessons to learn. But it's one thing to be cordial with people, be friendly with people. Um, it's another thing to get back in romantic relationships with some people. Some people, it didn't matter practically what they do, you wouldn't. Um, and some other people are going to keep repeating a pattern until they're willing to put in this work and effort to see how what they doesn't really quite get them what they want, and that some of the people in their life maybe stay with them more out of codependency, not out of love. If some of those people had the resources to get out, they'd probably get out. And that's why shadowy people can become worse, more and more shadowy. I need it to be more about me. I need to control you more. I need to be more the center of attention. I need you to be less independent, because that is what they think will make them happy if they have that. But they're looking to the wrong thing, and eventually other people don't want to stay in relationship with them, and they don't want to see the truth of that. So there you go, Scorpio. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.